to this earth, it is your responsibility to induct them into how things operate here. And that's one of the critical stages that many parents miss. In families, they miss that stage. When our kids, I've got a 3-year-old now. My 3-year-old, he doesn't know a lot of things. So
Good day, viewers. Hope you're well. My name is Yanda Sondlo. Welcome to my segment of the Sense Studios production, which is intentional parenting. On this segment, we'll be sharing wisdom, knowledge on our intentionality to be parents in this 2K generation. So I've got a guest today, Mr. Thuto Speaks. He's very popular on TikTok, and the views that he shares on character development, parental education, and how to build lasting relationships with your children. So, welcome, sir.
thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you so much. So we'll just get started. So what does intentional parenting mean to you in this generation, and also for the parents specifically?
I think maybe let's describe the word intentional. When someone is intentional, it's somebody who is conscious first about what they want to do. Secondly, it's people who have a plan. And thirdly, it should be people that are prepared concerning what they want to do. So intentional parenting speaks to parents or families being conscious about the importance of the parenting institution and being conscious of the fact that they have a role to play in grooming their children. So intentional parenting, it's about us bringing or advocating within our family structures the importance of us as parents to understand that we need to be conscious about the fact that we have to parent our kids. We need to be prepared to parent our kids, and we must be dedicated to parenting our kids. So intentional parenting is taking a step back as a parent and looking at yourself and looking at your children, looking at what they need and looking at what you have to do to provide for the needs that they have for their grooming, for their growing up at different stages of growing up.
Okay. So you say parenting is an institution.
It's an institution.
So is every parent knowledgeable about this institution?
See, the sad thing about this is it's very sad. And I will tell you why I'm saying it's very sad. If you remember back then, when I was born, the time I was born, I was brought up by my grandmother. My mother wasn't always present. My dad wasn't on the picture. But here's a picture that existed in my upbringing. If you look at families in the olden days, they put so much emphasis in grooming children. If you're a boy, every Saturday you knew you were supposed to do gardening. There are certain chores that you knew were for boys. And I will tell you the reason why parents back then did that. Because those were ways of grooming a boy child to teach you responsibility, to teach you and shape your mindset so that your mindset is guided towards a particular direction so that you understand that as a boy child, this is your responsibility. This is how you need to behave yourself. This is how you need to, carry your conduct. Same with the girl child. It was like that. So parents in the olden days, they took it seriously to bring up children. Parenting was very important. It was not about just bringing children to the world and let them grow. You watch them pass time, they grow from 1 year to 2 years to 3 years. As they were growing in the olden days, there were so many things that would go into that. There were so many teachings and lessons that will go into that. There was so much correction that was done by parents. So it was always active. But if you look at the current date, it's no longer active. We live such busy lives. And many parents now are making an excuse that, it's tough. I don't have time. I will share this with you. Many times when I have parents who come for parent coaching, the first question I ask in our session is, what does parenting mean to you? And one of the saddest responses I always get from about 95% of the parents is that I provide for my kids. I put a roof over their head. I put food on their table. I put clothes on their back. And my question is always to say to them when they respond like that, do you really think that is parenting? And many times they get puzzled, and I begin to unpack it to say to them, that is not parenting, that is obligation. The minute you give birth to a child, you are obligated to provide for them. So what you are saying or what you are calling parenting, it's actually provision. You haven't started parenting. Parenting is grooming this child, not putting food on the table, not putting clothes. That's just about 10% of, the entire portion, the scope that must be covered in parenting. So it's important for us to understand that the institution of parenting has to be active every day. We must be intentional about things that we teach our children on daily basis.
I love that. So, is there what's the English word? Is it feasible to use the same structures or the same parenting ways as how we grew up? For an example, I'm a what do they call Gen X 92 to 2000. There's a difference between those generations. The way I raise up my 12-year-old child, could I raise her the same way that I grew up? Is it feasible, that parenting and this 2K parenting style where you are friends with your you're friends with your parents, you're friends with your children, you share everything, you do social media together? Do you think that works for this generation?
Look, I will tell you something that you would concur with as well. There are things that you were taught when you were being brought up back in the years that are still applicable today. The question is, why are they still applicable even though you were taught those things back then? And the answer is adaptability. So one of the things that I normally teach on when I speak to parenting is the issue of approach. You can use a particular system that supposedly other people may say it's outdated, it's from the generation X. But depending on what kind of an approach you are using or you are applying in utilizing that strategy, that is the key approach. So it is important for us as parents to understand the importance of adaptability in our parenting. One of the biggest problems that we have in parenting today is that parents want to groom their children, they want to bring up their children, but the problem is they don't understand the kind of generation they are bringing up. So what you are saying is very important, because there's nothing wrong with using old strategies, because some are very effective still today. But the problem is, if you don't know your child, if you don't know your children, it's going to be difficult for you to apply. It's going to be difficult for you to even bring them up if you fail on the approach. I'll give a simple example for you. The generation of now, it's a conversational generation. One of the talks and one of the teachings I've done previously was on a subject called conversations versus confrontation. Because back in the day, shouting was normal. So when a parent, you do this, they will shout. But try do that with today's children. They've got too many rights. They know their independence before we knew our independence. They become independent very quickly and they are growing up. So if you use shouting in today's child, you're going to fail at grooming them. There's not going to be connection between you and your child. There's going to be discontent. There's not going to be a smooth sailing relationship. There's not going to be effective communication. So if all those things are broken, there's no parenting that will take place. So it's important for us to understand. I like the point you are raising. It's very important for us to understand our children. So for answering that question, it all takes resonance in how well we understand our children. Let's work on understanding our children, understanding the kind of life they are living, the kind of environment they are growing up in. Because when you understand the environment, you will understand the factors at play in their environment, what influences them, what kind of mindset do they carry, what kind of conduct and behavior are they prone to. And when that is identified, it's easy for you to then say, this is the approach I'm going to use to bring them up.
Okay, I love that, but I have a problem with something. Confrontation versus conversation.
Yep.
These children don't listen. Ama2K have their own mind. They know the rights, but they don't know the responsibility that comes with the rights. They know their independence. They don't know that there's responsibility with that independence. That independence, whom is much given to is much
Required.
Yes, there's required. So they don't know the requirements of the freedom that they have, the outspokenness that they have. So I understand why parents are confrontational instead of being conversational, because territorial, that parenting style of territorial works. I grew up under that, the territorial style. It works. For this generation, I'm not sure, because they're a generation of rights, independence. They don't know that there's responsibility. So how do we ensure that they know their responsibility, not only going on social media and telling people about their independence, their rights, and forget that there's responsibility tied to those rights?
See, this is the biggest problem that I always unearth with parents. It's important to understand that there are stages of parenting. There are stages. Every child has got a stage. So if you look at kids from the ages of 3 to 7, that's the most critical stage of grooming a child. And that's where many parents are annoyed by their children. I just had a confrontation or a session or consultation with one client of mine this past week, and now it's a second session. And she's saying, I've got a problem because I always shout at my 3-year-old. 7-year-old. She always shouting at them. And my question was, why do you shout? What makes you, get annoyed quickly towards them? And she says to me, because they always make noise. They want to play here. They want me to spend time with them. I said, that's normal for that age. So here's the thing to answer your question. Many parents, they miss that critical stage of establishing a very close connection with your children. I'll make an example with you. Would you take an advice from somebody that you do not trust?
No.
You won't. So it is like that with our kids. Our children, we lack that close-knit, tight relationship with them. We miss that time when we are supposed to connect well with them and have a firm connection, but later on we want to come and tell them what to do. And many parents do that when they are turning 12. At the age of 12, young people are experimenting their independence. If you go now, if I've got a 12-year-old, by the time they were 5, you would go to the shop and choose a color for them and say, you will wear this t-shirt, we will buy this one. Take them now when they are 12 and try that. They will tell you, I don't like this, I like that. Why? Because it's normal. At that age, they are trying independence. They are trying to make their own choices and make their own decisions. So when parents come in at that age, try to control them, try to be now more aggressive in their parenting, it's already a little too late, because now you are dealing with somebody whose mind has already been shaped in a particular way. So my answer would be, or my response would be, parents must be hands-on. While your kids are still young, try to shape them, connect with them the more, have a very close relationship with them the more, so that whatever communication, whatever teaching you give to them, they can take it, because many times they want to do it later and they don't have a relationship. There's no connection.
Wow. So, Mr. Thuto, there's something that is lacking in South Africa, which is the father relationship in the family, the role of the father. South Africa is a fatherless country.
Yeah.
It's a very sad situation in South Africa. What is the role of a father in a family structure? Not only on the male child, but what is the role of the father in the role of a child?
It's very important. Fathers, they provide assurance. Let me give you a simple example. In South Africa currently, we have a problem with the boy child. Why do we have a problem with the boy child? Because the boy child is lacking that figure in their lives that will give them an assurance. A figure that would say to them, here's the direction. As much as the mothers are there, but a boy child is more prone to take instruction and feel content with it when they got it, when they receive it or they get it from a father figure. So if the father figure is not there to give direction, to give assurance to the boy child, to say you are enough, you are great, there is so much that you can become with your life. Yes, our mothers, they are trying by all means to do that. But the resonance of that is much more substantial when it comes to a father figure. So that is why now we've got boys out there who are crying out in desperation for that father figure. And many times how they show their cry for this, desperation, they start to involve themselves in things where they want to fill the void. They start to involve themselves in groups. That's why you will find by the age of 12, 13, they now belong to a group. They now have this kind of friendship. They wear certain things. They start to do certain activities. Why? because the boy is trying to fit in. The boy is trying to make himself noticeable. He's trying to make himself feel confident and important because one, maybe not anybody, or there's nobody who's telling them they are great. Nobody is telling them they're important. Nobody is telling them that they are enough, they are worth it. So they would want to fill that void by being involved in places and spaces where somebody will tell them that. So that's the biggest problem we have. So a father figure in a family is a person who brings stability. It's a person who brings assurance, who brings confirmation to the family to say you are loved, you are valued. And when we lack that in our families, at times we feel and we find ourselves in despair. And we find ourselves now scraping around looking for things to close that gap that we have in our hearts.
I love the word confirmation. Yeah. So a father figure confirms, they play a role of confirmation in the child's life. Yeah. Wow. So what is the role of both parents in steering the intentionality, conscious parenting, both structures and grandparents involved?
You know, there's one thing that I always say to people when I talk in seminars and I speak to families and all that. This is one of the things that I always put out. And I say, you know, count yourself blessed and lucky when God has given you the grace to have both parents as a child. Because then you've got the holistic structure that will help you to become a holistic individual. Hear me well. I'm not saying those who are brought up by single parents cannot be holistic individuals, but they are disadvantaged at some point because certain things that they could have gotten from another parent, unfortunately, they might not get, unless if there is any other figure in that kind of nature that can fill in and be able to assist them emotionally, spiritually, mentally as well. So it's important for us to value the structure of a mother and a father, a husband and a wife, together bringing up children. We are advocating for families. We are advocating to people to say, in our society, in our community, in our country, in our nation of South Africa, to say, people, it is important for us that we build families because a community is because of the family. And a community is what gives rise to, or give birth to a nation. So a nation that lacks family structures that are stable, then that nation doesn't have a very strong destiny or a strong future. So I'm advocating for that. And that's where my passion for parenting comes from. To say, I was brought up by a single parent. You know, and my grandmother was the one who brought me up. It's very few lessons that I can remember vividly of my dad that he actually planted in my life. As much as later on we had a relationship, that's why I'm saying it's very few lessons that I picked up at the time. So I would say it's important to have that family structure. Mothers, even mothers who, you know, Zianda, mothers who, even if you can separate from the father of the child, here's the thing, it's important to ensure that you establish the agreement of parenting, where you meet and you understand that as much as you might have separated, but the important person here is this child that must grow up and benefit from the both of you, and find a way to have a plan to parent, to teach, to groom, and make sure that these kids or that child becomes a better child in the future.
Wow. So does the term that it takes a village to raise a child work in this generation? Because we have such a broken society, and we have this thing that we now say as parents that if you see my child doing something outside and I reprimand the child or I speak to the child, we are quick as parents to tell our neighbors or the people that love us, who look out for us, that please mind your own business. Does that work? Or is it the reason why we are in such a broken society? Because we do not have the sense of family, the sense of ubuntu.
That's the biggest problem that we are facing in society. I think as an African person and an African child, we benefited a lot from that sentiment. That sentiment brought up nurses, it brought up doctors, it brought up principals, it brought up people today who we can say are grandmothers and grandfathers who have made it in life, who've built families and have brought up kids with character, a good conduct and a good mindset and attitude and an outlook towards life. And we allowed cultures that comes externally outside of our spaces to take control. And I blame this, on the democracy. I would be very straightforward. I blame it on a democracy because then the democracy came. There's nothing wrong. Hear me well, Zianda. There's nothing wrong with a democratic dispensation coming and saying our children now have rights. But we were supposed to take a step back and say, if we give rights to these kids, what rights are these? What impact will these rights have on the well-being of these kids? And also take a step back and look at what was in existence before, the system that was in operation before, where you are mentioning that it takes a village to raise a child. At that time, a child respected all individuals in society. A child will not go and commit a heinous crime, a heinous act in communities, But today we find that. Why? Because children were told that nobody can do. You will not be punishable for that. So you can do anything. Nobody can tell you anything, And that is what we are standing against as a people, to say we don't want our children going forward to find themselves in those circumstances. So it's important for us to try and find a way to build that back into our children, to say to them, listen, for you to become a better people in society, for you to succeed, for you to even get opportunities in life, learn to respect people, learn to respect elders, learn to listen to elders. When we teach that back into the system or in the institution of parenting, we would be helping our children. And guess what will happen? You see these things that we see of crimes being committed by 15, 17-year-olds and all these are the results of such kind of sentiments that we have planted in them. So if we can try to build back the fear and the respect and the honor of elderlies in our kids today, we will be able to get ourselves back to that.
It's so true. I think today's children, we don't have fear.
Yeah.
We don't have fear. That's what I'm saying. The sentiment of they have independence, but they don't know that it comes with responsibility. So there's a term that I always see on social media that says we should be conducting our parenting style, gentle parenting. Does gentle parenting work? Is it feasible?
Zianda, one of the biggest problems that we are facing in society today, I will tell you, one of the biggest problems we're facing in society today is society misunderstands this institution. In fact, society, a greater part of our society today, don't even know that they should be a parenting institution. There's no such a thing as gentle parenting. I think what we need to look and focus on, the approach should be to say, each parent, look at your child. Look at the needs of your child. What kind of a child is this? What is their mindset? What is their attitude? What is their character and their conduct? Where is it that they need your intervention? Only then can you craft an approach that will be appropriate for the child. We cannot generalize and say, listen, this is what I fight with parents about on daily basis. I always try to help parents to say, don't categorize your children. Okay, you said it just now, that this 2K generation, do you know why they are naughty, some of them? Some of the consultations I have with them is the 2Ks. And you know what they normally tell me? They know they are categorized. They know that they are labeled as the wicked and the naughty generation. So the more you label them, the more you put that stamp on them, the more they would want to prove you. So I think it's important for us to be very cautious not to label our kids. Let us not categorize our children and say this 2K generation is weird. So what are you saying to them? You're saying they are weird. You're saying to them they're not accepted. There's something wrong with them. And they will prove you that there's something wrong with them. How will they prove you? They will start to do the wrong things that you are labeling them with. So my response would be, let us be careful. There is no gentle parenting. Parenting goes with approach. It goes with you understanding the needs of your child. What does my child need? Where are they lacking? Where do they need development? Where do they need to improve in terms of character, in terms of attitude, in terms of mentality, in terms of conduct? All those things. Look at those things holistically and say, where are my children? Rate them. After you rate them, then you start to draft and curate a plan to say, now that I've identified what is lacking in my kids, this is now intentional parenting. I have identified what is lacking. Let me now build an approach that will go to address these deficiencies that I see.
Okay, I think the follow-up question would be, does corporal punishment work for this generation? As much as we are about conversation and speaking to our children and ironing out issues, but there is a gap. There would be a gap as kids because children don't listen. Children are not the same. I would not, as you said, I would not categorize them. So there's others who don't just listen to conversation or who are not good at taking instruction. Would corporal punishment or beating the child work?
If need be, there is a stage in their growing up where corporal punishment is normal. There is a stage where there's a need. But it's important, hence I said earlier on, that it's important for us to understand the stages of their growing up, the stages of parenting. Because when we understand what must be done at what stage, what kind of grooming is required at what stage, then we would know what is to do. So many times parents want to use, and this is a reality we're facing currently. Right now we've got Tsepo wa Pitori.
Oh my God.
He's doing discipline camp.
Yes.
You go to Pretoria, there are 2 big discipline camps. This is what I always say when I look at the work they're doing. Great job, marvelous work they're doing. But my heart pains every time I see the amount of parents taking their kids there. And this is what always resonates with my heart. To say that these parents, they failed, reality, they failed to guide and groom at the right time. Now they are repairing. And it's sad that now they have to work double extra hard to repair these kids. That's why they have to be thrown into these camps just to get intervention, to bring them back from all the derail they've become. So my response would be, it is important for us to parent right in time. Corporal punishment, there's nothing wrong with it, but not abuse. You know, we were beaten when we were growing up.
Yes.
And it was the beating for guidance, not to hurt or injure. It was for guidance. You do something wrong, they beat you. Don't do this. And you learn. But before they beat you, they would talk to you. The hands I said earlier on, we are bringing up a generation of kids who are more conversational. So if you can capitalize on establishing conversation channels with your kids, there will be no need for corporal punishment, because the conversational channel will facilitate the communication between the two of you. You would say, I don't like this, because the channel exists, because the connection is there, because the relationship is there. They will hear you and they will do what you do or what you say they should do, because there's a connection, there is agreement. The problem rises when there's no connection, there's no channel, there's no relationship, yet we want to instruct them. If that happens, then they will not do anything that you tell them to do. And if they don't do, what would you do? Then that's when you as a parent will want to use what? Corporal punishment. So hence I'm saying, let's just be careful to do what is right and parent them and establish these channels that I'm talking about to prevent ourselves from dwelling on corporal punishment as a way of parenting our kids.
Wow. So can you please delve into the different stages of child development or character development, as you said, from the age of 0 to 7, from 7 to 14, and from into the adulting stage? Because I believe each parent, there's a stage where parents struggle to parent, particularly in the first stages and also into the adult stages. Yes.
You see, this is one thing that I always use as an example to speak about those stages of parenting. Very critically important. When you apply, you want to go to university or you're applying for a new job, there's something particularly that they do if it's your first time in that organization. They call induction. And I would explain, and I'm sure many people understand what induction is about. Induction is about you coming into a new environment and they fill you in on the new environment. They show you where things are, how things work. They introduce you to the system. They introduce you to how things operate in that space that you're about to occupy. So it's important for us to understand these 3 stages of parenting, your grooming stage. When a child comes into this earth, it is your responsibility to induct them into how things operate here. And that's one of the critical stages that many parents miss. In families, they miss that stage. When our kids, I've got a 3-year-old now. My 3-year-old, he doesn't know a lot of things. So he still does a lot of things so it is my responsibility to understand that I need to induct him. You don't throw your things on the ground. You pick them up, my boy. It will take time. At times, he will continue to throw them on the ground. But because I have an understanding that this is a stage that he's in his growing up, I need to groom him the more. Focus on grooming him. Focus on putting a stamp on him to say, this is how things are done. This is what is right. This is all that. So the grooming stage from the child when he's born to around 7 years of age, it is a very critical stage for parent. Groom your children. Teach them manners. Teach them that they don't speak with food in their mouth. If you come at a child who's already 15, you tell them they mustn't speak with food in their mouth. Try it and see if they will listen to you. Because it's no longer a stage to groom. So the first stage of parenting is to groom your children, induct them, introduce them to things, introduce them to respect, introduce them to a positive mindset, introduce them to love, to care. Sometimes a child, when he's 2-3 years, his cousins, my nieces, they came to visit just now with the holidays. And my house was full house. Now, this is what was happening. My son, because he's not used to having a lot of people in the house, there were certain things that belonged to him, his toys. He was refusing. He's like, no, these are my toys. I can't give to them. I had to teach him and say, look, sharing is caring. Now he understands. He says, no, I'm going to share this car with my cousin. I'm going to share this with my cousin. I'm introducing him. I'm grooming him. Secondly, the second stage of parenting, which is critically important, it's the coaching stage. The coaching stage, I always use this expression to parents, and I want to say it here today. To say kids don't do more what you say, they do more what you do.
That's true.
So the coaching stage from the ages of 7, they've been listening to you, inducting them, telling them how things should be done, telling them this is not right, this is right, this is not good, this is good. Now when they reach the second stage, they want to see you. If you say, I love you, they want to see it now. When they were still young, they were learning about love. But when they grow a bit older, they want to see this thing you're talking about. So the coaching stage, just like in soccer, during the week before the team plays, the coach at training, he plays with them. He kicks the ball with them. He shows them how he wants them to kick. He shows them how he wants them to position, how he wants the players to position themselves on the field. He shows it to them. So it's important to understand that there is a stage of bringing up our children, of parenting, where we need to be very, 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 very significantly, put emphasis on displaying the things we are teaching. Display love, show compassion, forgiveness, all those things, they must be displayed for us to be able to say to ourselves as parents, we have embedded these things on our kids, and we can be sure that our kids have a full understanding of what we were teaching them about. And the third stage is the mentoring stage. A mentoring stage is a stage where they've already gained their independence. They are already about 15, 16. They can take a taxi by themselves to town. They're independent. They are teenagers now. So it's a stage where now you don't make a lot of noise to them. You create an environment for you to guide them, for them to come to you for advice. That's what is missing in many families and in many relationships between parents and kids. Kids would rather go to other people that they are not even related to for advice, except for you as a parent. It is because the environment you have created has not permitted for them to find free access to you. So it's important for us to understand that during these stages of parenting, we always keep an open door policy where our children find comfort in us. They find solace in us. They can trust us, and they see us as a place of refuge. Because if your kids don't see you as that, they will always be looking for other places where they're comfortable. And once they find those places, you would find that what they would pick up from those places will be what will corrupt them. it will be what you will not like because you failed as a parent to provide for that. So it's important at mentoring stage that it's a stage where now we allow them to say, you've made your choice. Fine, I agree with your choice, but this is how you need to be careful in implementing this choice, this decision. This is how you make choices. This is what you look at. This is how you do things. You are mentoring. You are now giving them that confidence to say, I trust in you. I know you can do it, but allow me to guide you. You are guiding more than instructing.
Wow, I love that. I think the follow-up question would be what you've said, that kids always find solace if they do not trust the child in elsewhere. From a personal story, I remember when I wanted to go back to school, I rather went to my mom. I rather went to a friend of my mom instead of my mom. So what do you think creates that? What mistake are we making as parents that our kids would rather go seek advice or seek solace from another person or from other people? What is broken in the parental relationship that we would find solace in other people? Is it maybe the way we speak to them or our reasoning, the way we reason with them, or kids are fearful? Is it a fear factor?
Most of the parents that are struggling with that, it's parents who grew up under the same circumstances. So you'd find that you were brought up in a family where you could not easily access your mom. You could not easily access your dad. There's certain things. They created this bridge that you cannot cross over. They created this wall that as a child you can go up to this far. You can't go beyond this. And that kind of environment embedded in you now, being a parent in this day and age, then also becomes a stumbling block for you. With your children, you love them so much. You want to be so close and so connected to them. But you find that you can't because in your character, that thing is still embedded in you. That angifuni mina ukujwayelwa ingane. You can't talk to me about boyfriend and girlfriend. There are still parents who are like that, not realizing that by putting that wall, they are exposing their children to people who might even corrupt them, who might even destroy them, to advise and influence an opinion that might destroy your child. So I think it's critically important. It goes back to what I just mentioned. It's important for us to look at these stages of parenting and understand the importance. There are two things I always put emphasis upon. To say to parents, make sure that you build strong connections with your children. They must be comfortable with you. They must feel that I can talk to my mom, my dad about anything. Build that connection. Make sure that it is just that they can tell you about anything. The reason why we've got a lot of kids who are being bullied, they even commit suicide. It's because they can't come to you as a mother and tell you. They can't come to you as a dad and tell you and say, Dad, I'm struggling. Somebody's bullying me. Because you have built a barricade that nobody can enter into. So it's important to build connections and to establish relationships at a right time, at an early age. Because connections and relationships speaks of trust. You will not trust somebody you don't have a connection with or a relationship, a close-knit relationship with. You don't trust them. So parents need to learn this, that they fight and work daily to establish strong connections and stable relationship with their children. That will permit and allow for conversations. Then it's easy for you to even be able to see something odd with your child and stand up and say, no, my child, your behavior has suddenly changed. What's wrong? What happened to you? What is not going right with you? Are you hurt? You know? And it's easy. But if you don't have a relationship, you know what they do? I just did a video about a week ago. I think it's sitting on almost 140,000 views. That video, I said 5 signals of a child that is crying out of frustration.
I saw it.
Now, the question is, why would these kids not voice out? It's because the platform does not permit. The parent did not create a platform where a child, when they want to voice out themselves and express themselves, can do that. So we have to build environments like that as parents, where our kids can express themselves. Because when they express themselves, then we're able to help them. We're able to reach out rather than them dying inside. That's why they lock themselves in rooms. That's why they would rather, because they can't talk to anybody. You don't allow them. That's why they would rather stick to video games. That's why they would rather lock themselves in the toilet, in their room, and stay in the phone for the whole day. So because there is no way of crossing over to you.
So how do we break that bridge? How do we singayiphula kanjani lelo bonda lelo to have a connection as the parent first? There's a term that I usually see on social media. It says reparenting yourself. So how do I reparent myself to be able to parent my children well, to be able to instill the right values, and to be able to build that lasting relationship with my children?
There's a video I did as well, and a talk I do, which says your parenting is as good as your personal growth. Your parenting is as good as your personal growth, and I will tell you why I'm saying that. Your parenting is as good as your personal growth. You will only parent better when you can master yourself better, when you develop yourself consistently. Why am I saying that? It is difficult for you to break the bridge or break the wall that separates you and your child if you don't understand them. Many parents, we spoke about it just now, many parents, they are just good at labeling their children. Ukuthi I am a 2000 banji. They are very good at that. But abeko good ekuthenini, but why am I 2000 Anji? Let's try to understand them. What is going on in their mind? What factors are at play in their lives? Why are they behaving like this? What is it that is different? When you ask questions like that, you will get to the bottom of it. You will get to understand. Okay, labantwana banji. And when you understand this is how they are, then it's easy for you to parent them because now you understand them. You understand, okay, the reason why bands are so, it's because this is their personal attitude. This is their perception about this particular matter or this particular aspect of life. So, abazali abaningi, they don't invest in knowing their children. Abazali abaningi, they don't invest in digging in to understand the factors that are at play in the lives of our children. What are the factors of influence they are faced with on a daily basis? Remember, Zianda, you are spending only 4 hours a day with your child. Because ekuseni umthatha ngo-7 umdrop esikolweni. So from 7 o'clock, after 7, they are not with you until 5 o'clock when you get back home. After 5 o'clock, you stay with them preparing a supper or dinner. From 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, lights off. It's school. So you have 4 hours a day. The rest of the 20 hours, you don't know what they are up to. You don't know the factors that are playing a role of influence in them. And remember, any factor that plays a role of influence in enganini yakho is shaping your child, whether you like it or not. Whether it's from friends, from school, from teachers, from television, from the internet they're exposed to, it is shaping them into certain characters. It is shaping their minds into certain particular attitudes that in the end, two things would happen. It's either they will destroy them or they will make them. So it's important to invest as a parent in knowing them, understanding them, so that you can better know how to approach and deal with them, how to parent them better. So there is no kind of a thing, I believe personally, this is my opinion, there's no kind of a thing as reparenting yourself. My opinion is adaptability, advance yourself, understand your children, understand the world they live in, and stop being uptight. Many parents are too much uptight that your kids can't even say hi to you. Your kids can't even share a joke that happened at school with you. You know, the other time I was laughing, I told my wife, the way that I have a relationship with my kids, my son, my firstborn is 16, right? My son, he can call me. He calls me dad once in a while, say, dad, this, even when he's at school, he will say, hey, I'm going for soccer. You know, even when he says sharp. It's the kind of relationship. It's not that he's being rude to me. It's not that he doesn't respect me. I've created an environment for them to be free with me. They can crack a joke. We joke with them. And I enjoy it. Why? Because I have access to them anyhow. I can easily see if my child is not okay. And if I go to them, they are easily open to tell me what is wrong with them because I've created the environment. So I think that is what is very, very important. Break the wall, be adaptable, develop yourself, get to know them, and more over and above that, be approachable as a mom, as a dad.
Be approachable. Wow, I love that. So, and that Thuto, how do we break the gap that we have as parents in educating our children with sex education, and especially the teens? how do we start the conversation? Because I know it's very hard. It was very hard for me. How I started from the age of 8. My daughter is 30 now. I started in a sense of safety, how she needs to be, to watch her environment, watch for sexual abuse, like, yeah, in a safety way, how to be safe around. And I pulled up the conversation. But I see that it's very, very tough for parents to start that conversation. How do we start that conversation?
It all boils down to what we have been putting a lot of emphasis upon on our conversation today. Parents must invest in connection and relationship. When connection and relationship exist, conversations becomes easy. Even you yourself, just take a flashback and look at your relationship with your child at the time when you started. Were you guys openly communicating and conversating about everything? You'd find that somewhere, somehow, there were some limitations that you put for your child. And I can talk to you about this, not that. I'm not saying parents should go all out and talk to their kids just about anything, even things that don't concern their children. But it's important to understand that there is a free flow channel for you to be able to have conversations at any given point in time, at any level. Because then that helps you to facilitate conversations like that. I was talking about the same subject. I think it was Radio 702 not long ago. I think somewhere around June, July. We're talking on that subject to say, what do you do as a parent when your child comes to you and tell you they've just had sex for the first time? We were delving on a subject like that. And it's an issue of conversation. It's an issue of being hands-on. When you are a hands-on parent, you will know when to introduce these subjects. And your ability to introduce these subjects will also depend on the flow or the kind of connection and relationship and the type of environment that you have created between you and your son or your daughter. So I'm still saying, I'm advocating for parents today to invest in making sure that the environment between you and your child is permissive of them to speak out anything they want, for them to voice themselves, to express themselves. Be a parent who is approachable. When you are approachable, it becomes easy to introduce subjects like this, because you will just tell them, said, my son, my daughter, you are now here, the age of 12, 11, 12. Some we even talk to them even earlier than that, to say to them at the age of 7, 8, listen, you don't allow any boy child to touch you here. You understand? You don't allow these things to happen. But you take it further up when they become the ages of 12, 13 to say, listen, there is something called sex. And this thing called sex, the result of sex is this. And it can do 1, 2, 3 to a person's life, especially somebody who is like you, who still has a future to build, who still wants to accomplish things. So my son, my daughter, please refrain. Focus on yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself. This will come at the right time. When you are independent, when you have your own, you are happy, you are now able, most importantly, you are now able to decide for yourself with understanding what you are doing when you engage in such. So it's important, but my advocation is environment and the channel of communication, the kind of relationship and connection you have with your child is what makes it easy for you to talk about tough situations and tough subjects to our children.
Oh. So what do you say to parents who say, I feel like I'm being disrespected? How can my 16-year-old come and tell me that I've just had sex? Why do you think parents feel they've failed their children, or they failed as a parent now when their child has automatically jumped a stage? Or I don't think my child is ready to start those, to be in that. What do you say to parents who feel like, young Delela, she can do everything else, they can do whatever, but adult activity, no?
I think those parents, they need to take this kind of perspective. This is my different angle towards this. To say, as much as it might sound like lo mntwana uyadelela, but look at it in another perspective. Your child has fallen. So if you say to them, uyangidelela, uyangijoyela, you are saying stay on the ground. That's basically what you're saying. But if you then can take this perspective to say, yes, they have done it. Yes, I'm not happy with it, but how do I help my children going forward or my child going forward? not to fall on the same pit again. You begin now to look and take a different angle to say, let me rather take this time and equip my child. Angeke ngimthethise, ngeke ngimbangele umsindo, have a conversation. You had sex. What made you think you had to have sex? Do you love the boy? Did you decide to have sex by yourself? Are there any influencing factors that led to that? Establish those things. Because then you'll be able to understand what led to that. What led to that kind of thinking? That would give you a picture of where your child is in terms of development, so that you'll know what to do, how to help them, how to guide them. But if we don't do that and we think by Stelela, we are actually saying to ourselves, we are excluding ourselves from their lives. We are depriving ourselves of guiding them. We are also depriving them of getting the guidance they should be getting from us. Now, the question that I would leave you with regarding that question, would you rather get somebody teach your child about sex except for you? The answer for me is, I would rather teach my own child about it than get somebody else whom I don't know what their stance is about sex. Some other people, they might give a different stance to my child about sex, a stance that might destroy my child. Somebody might think a child having sex at 16 is nothing. They're already of age. What if they get pregnant? They don't care. But if I were to be the one to teach my child, at least I would have been teaching my child the things that resonate with me, that I feel are the best for my child, rather than them hearing it on the street from other people, from other parents of their friends.
What do you also say to parents who they say, I've built a connection with my children, I'm close to my children, we have an open relationship, they have fallen, they are sexually active, they are doing drugs, they are bullies. Why do I feel like I failed as a parent? Like, this is a stain on my character, particularly people who are big in the society, like Christians, pastors, deacons, politicians, people who have a right standing in the community. How do we reconcile that feeling of failure, that I thought they trust me enough to listen to my guidance?
Nobody, you see, there's no parenting Bible. Nobody was taught parenting, but we parent as we go along. Even me, as a parenting coach sitting here in front of you, I've got my own flaws with my own kids. There's somewhere where I still trip and fall, and I realize afterwards, like, I shouldn't have shouted to with my kids. I was wrong. But I think what is more important is to be vigilant and to be conscious. Number one. Number two, understand that there is no perfect parenting. We are only trying. We are learning as we're moving along. So hence I'm saying it's important for parents to be vigilant. It's important for parents to forgive themselves and give themselves a chance. How do you give yourself a chance as a parent? You give yourself a chance as a parent by acknowledging that, yes, my child is in this state, and then begin to sit back with yourself and say, what can I do? How can I do better in this situation? If it means you sit down with them and call them and said, look, my son, my daughter, I'm not happy with the way that you have turned out. And I know that it's not just you. Maybe there are some things that I have done that have contributed. Even if they are not, but some of the things we do, sometimes they infringe on our children and they do affect them. And at times, sometimes we'll not realize. So it's important, it goes back again, when we are able to conversate, we can be able to establish the root cause. We can be able to establish where they are and what kind of assistance and intervention is required to help them up again. So I would say to parents who feel like that you are not a failure, because there was never a book for parenting. There was never a university where people are taught how to parent. But it is important for you as a parent to forgive yourself, number one. Number two, begin to pay attention. I say this many times to parents. I say, many of the mistakes we make with our children, we make because we don't pay attention. Some kids, they voice themselves out. Some kids, they behave their frustration. But because we are not paying attention, we miss it until it's too late. So forgive yourself. Have those conversations with your children. I know some parents right now, I might be giving this response, and they'll be saying, nah, he doesn't know. Because so it's already worse. All I'm saying is that show love and trust God. That's all I tell people. Show love to your kids as they are and trust God. This is my sentiment. I always tell my wife to say, sometimes you mustn't fight to change things that you are not able to change now. Focus on what you can change now. If you can give love to your child, give love. You will never know what God can use to change them. Maybe the love you will give them, maybe the different perception and the different approach you give to them might be the one that changed them. Instead, don't be judgmental because of where they are. Don't be judgmental because of the state they are in. Forgive yourself, love them, be patient, continue to support them.
Okay, before we wrap up, the last question. What is the role of social media? Because oh my God, I fight with my 13-year-old, particularly about TikTok. What is the dangers of social media when it comes to parenting? And what is the influence on the youth, particularly the child and the parental stages of the...
I think, for me, it's very fascinating. It's fascinating to me to comprehend the reality and the truth that we live in day and age of technology. You cannot prevent them from technology. It takes us back to one of the factors that we were discussing today, to say it's important as a parent. If you can be hands-on in your parenting from the young age, if you can be hands-on and be there and teach them and guide them, there are so many things that you could prevent. The biggest problem is that we have never taught them about social media. And social media is available everywhere. And you can't stop them. So I would advise a parent of a teenager right now to say, parent your kids. Talk to them about social media, the dangers of social media. I'll give a simple example as well. If you don't teach your kids, many of us, when we go to university, imagine you never ever carried 200 rand in your pocket. Nobody taught you about money, how to save money, how to take care of money, how to make sure that you use money wisely. You get to university, you get NSFAS, they give you 1,500 rand. You go crazy. Many people started drinking alcohol because of that money, because they thought it was too big. Why? They were never taught about money. They were never given guidance and direction. So it's important. So same with social media. Teach our children about these things so that you can guide them. You can't stop them from using them. But when you guide them and you parent them well, they will know how to use them wisely.
Wow. Oh, Mr. Thuto, thank you so much. What would you like to say to parents of teenagers, young children, and young adults who still have close parental relationship in closing?
This is my take. Every parent who is watching us and every young adult, it's important to understand that you are a parent. There's somebody who's depending on you to become a better person tomorrow. Invest in those people. Give them time. Love them. Be intentional about taking care of them, guiding them, mentoring them, and coaching them to the greatest heights of their lives. It's important. Number 2, it's important to develop yourself as a person and understand the environment you are living in. And the last one, it's important for us to establish relationships and connections with ourselves and with our families and with our children, and also create environments that permit for growth and development. So that being in place, great parenting is inevitable.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Thuto. Thank you for joining us. Viewers, thank you so much. I hope you'll enjoy this segment. And I hope that I wish you all the best in your parenting journey. And I hope you've grasped some knowledge, some understanding. I know I have. I know I'll make some changes. And yeah, thank you so much. See you on the next one.